It's Monday Night Spy Radio, Mijay Fresh right here bringing you new and sick artist music and all that good stuff from across the spectrum of hip-hop and grime. So on the phone right now, because this is how we do interviews in this day and age, I've got a very special guest who is making serious waves and has just dropped a brand new project. ALIKA on the phone, live and direct. How's it going, man?
It's all good, thanks. Pleasure.
Wicked, yeah, it's good to have you here, man. Now, obviously I can't see you, so please describe to me your surroundings right now so I can get a good mental picture of where you're at.
Well, I'm actually in my bedroom. It's grey.
Relaxing.
I've got a white desk. I'm just chilling on my desk. I'm in the studio, but I thought I'd do this one in my room today because there's a session in there. So
more relaxed settings, yeah?
Exactly.
Wicked, man, wicked. Well, normally when I've been doing a lot of interviews over the last few months and, people are picking up the phone and being like, yeah, I'm in Sardinia. Yeah, I've just touched down in Spain. I've got the pina colada and I'm there just in the room with no air conditioning, right? Just feeling very jealous.
I've been quite jealous of all the travellers because I feel like I'm too scared.
I know, right? Well, let's just jump straight into it because this year has been mad. But have you done any travelling outside the country in the last few months since there's been restrictions and whatnot?
No. I got back from a writing trip in Denmark just at the beginning of March, and that's when everything kind of started. So I was like just at the beginning of the lockdown and stuff.
Yeah.
But I haven't left the country since, and I'm a bit scared too.
Is it the fact of the travelling itself? Is it when you land? Is it trying to get back in the country? Is there any specific thing that is kind of giving you anxiety?
I'm not good with the unknown in general. Like even when I go away, I so plan everything, like my transport from the airport to the hotel and like what's around me. So the thought of going on holiday and not knowing like what the country's going to be like in their own version of coronavirus handling is a bit scary for me. And then like the thought of going abroad and not being able to do much because so many people are going and then rules are being imposed while they're out there. So like the thought of having to come back and isolate for 14 days is where I've got stuff to do. And I'm like, I can't do that.
I ain't got time for that.
Yeah.
I think for me, I'm on those workaholic guys, yeah. I feel we're on the same page with this where like if I go on holiday, I want to relax. I want to kind of sit in the sun and I just want to really kind of zone out to everything that's going on. So the idea that you can't do that. I mean, how have you found stuff in this country, like traveling around public transport? Everyone's got their own journey, or their own story. So how are you finding things just in general, the day-to-day life?
Well, I drive, so I've only been on public transport. I've had been there twice, but the roads are absolutely atrocious now. During lockdown, they were all right. Like I was still working a bit and like moving where I could. And I have a little one as well. So we would have to go to the park and stuff. And I just found it was like you had to take the best out of it kind of thing. So I just looked at the positives in the fact that the roads were quieter. And I feel like people were more unified and more social, even though we weren't allowed out. Like people made more effort to talk to each other and things. Everyone had a lot of more time.
I think there was a reset button pressed almost subconsciously, wasn't there?
Yeah, it just put a lot of things into perspective, I think, for everyone. And do you know, it's been so long, like there's been so many different phases to it.
Yeah.
I think just in general, like we did have the protesting, the uprising. So I just think it's been a roller coaster.
Yeah, exactly. Because around that, like on a personal level, like, I've found myself like I've never been interested in running. Like to me, that's boring. But I find myself running almost every day. The sleep pattern is a bit of a myth, and I feel like people's mental health obviously has been affected by that unknown. So I swear I saw on Twitter you said something about your own sleep pattern and how it was a mess. Is that correct? Yeah,
it's a mess. Like I find myself waking up every 2 hours lately.
Really?
But during lockdown, it was all over the place. Like at first, I was waking up so early because I was used to doing the school run.
Of course.
So I wake up around 7 still, but it would just get earlier and earlier because I figured I was just doing less throughout the days. I wasn't as tired maybe. And then it just was all over the place.
Yeah.
But lockdown has definitely messed with my sleep.
I think everyone's in that same boat, you know, but we keep it moving, we keep it positive. And now that I feel fully connected with you over the last few months now, we've had that conversation. I love that. And obviously we can now start to move into music.
Yes.
So congratulations on your brand new and debut EP. It's sick.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, debut.
Exactly. Was now how well, when anyone drops like their first project, let's say, you know, more than just a single, it's an exciting time. There's the element of the unknown. Expectations, are they there? So talk to me about the journey around that and actually pushing the EP out there. How's that been for you?
So for me, I think like with Wavy being like my first ever thing to kind of come out properly, it was so big that my perspective on things is a bit different than it was before. So I don't actually put any pressure on myself anymore when things are released, whereas before I think I would have. And now it's just really like kind of natural. I'm like, push it as much as I can physically, do what we can as a team. But at the same time, the music will fall where it's supposed to, and the people that love it will just love it. And it's part of the artist's journey just to keep trying to find new ways to push music.
Definitely.
And that's just the journey I'm on.
Definitely, man. Now, in terms of actually recording the EP, you know, working on the tracks, the features, you know, was it a quick process? Was it something that took a long period of time? Were you agonizing over the final track listing and other tracks didn't feature? How about the kind of the logistics and the mechanics of putting it together from a musical point of view? How did you find that?
Yeah. So this project being my first project, it was definitely a much longer process. It was me kind of looking at all the music I'd made over the past, I'd say 3 years, and picking not only my favorite songs, but ones that went well together as a project, that complemented each other, but were different because I did want to show my versatility. So it definitely was hard in the end, like actually picking the songs and like discussing with my manager as well, because her opinion is important to me as well. So logistically, that was actually the hardest part. Making it was easy, like making the songs, but picking the songs was hard.
That literally sounds like my outlook on the music industry. As a producer myself, making music is the fun bit. It's everything else that's wrapped around it that has you pulling your hair out, man. Do you know what I mean? But you touched on it there, which is really interesting and is obvious to anyone who's digested the EP right now. It is diverse.
Yeah.
There is like a lot of flavour there, and I feel like you're the kind of artist who, it sounds mad to say you follow your own path or you create your own path, because really that's kind of what artists should do. But not everybody follows that. And again, this EP having 5 odd tracks on there, it gives you 5-6 tracks on there. It gives you the opportunity to showcase everything that you're about. So that, I guess, that kind of keeps you being you and not being seen as the new somebody else.
Exactly. I mean, I do think it's hard to avoid comparisons no matter how much of your own thing you're on, especially because like nothing is actually like new. I think it's just loads of mixtures of old stuff. And inspiration, which is what I think art is. It's just like generations of inspiration and interpretation. So I think that, for me, I like all types of music. Any genre of music, there's going to be one song I like. I enjoy music and instruments. And all through my journey, I definitely think people have attempted to compare me or box me, like, you know, based on whether I make house music or whether I'm a rapper or a female rapper. And I just wanted to make a stand with my first EP to let people know that I am an artist. I'm just a lover of music, and whatever comes out, if it's good, you'll get it.
Definitely. Like, this is me. I've drawn a line in the sand. This is me, and this is what I represent. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, it's okay.
It's okay, but I'm pretty sure at some point there'll be something you like.
Yes, say it with your chest. Yes. You might not like this track, but trust me, the next one you will actually love.
There'll be something for you.
Oh, it's wicked, man. The name of the EP, where did that come from?
Right, so a bit of a funny story. It's like a play on words. So the first line of Wavy that I came up with was, so let me tell you like this, I'm who you're looking for, I'm the Wiz. And I just think that when I look at my journey, it's been quite unconventional, and there's been like these people I've come across on the way who've just been so instrumental to me carrying on and like having any kind of success. And I find it to be quite like a yellow brick road. Yeah. And I do kind of feel a bit girl next doorish at times. Not in the most conventional sense of the word, but I am quite a normal girl or normal woman in the sense of like how I live my life. So I do feel like kind of like that quote, like Dorothy's not in Kansas anymore. Like that's kind of how I feel being put in the industry.
It's dope. It's
so yeah, it's like a play on words basically.
Wicked.
Yeah.
Well, you touched on something really interesting there, because especially every artist has their own journey, but for someone like yourself, like you said, you had the breakout track that had you at that certain point, and the bar was raised, and you just said there about the people around you. Now, we know how important that is in terms of any musician's kind of journey, but for you, what's the kind of best bit of advice? And I feel like you've been given a lot of it so far that's really resonated with you, but what's the best kind of bit of advice you've been given so far on your journey?
The best piece of advice. Yeah, I think the best piece of advice is like, you can't do it alone, but you also have to follow your own gut and vision. It's like you need a team, but it's your ship. You have to steer it. And I think like so far, that's the best piece of advice for where I've gotten, because I'm so appreciative of every person that has contributed to my career. Like the first person that ever recorded me is still engineers in my studio. Like,
sick. I love that. No, I love that.
Yeah, like so I'm like that. Like my journey, the people around me once they are kind of part of my journey, they stick around. And being an independent artist, I don't think that would be possible if I didn't appreciate them.
There's some great advice there and some great insight to anyone who's listening at Pyro right now, that like, especially younger people, I come in contact with a lot of artists who hit me up normally in the DMs. Normally they're not following me, which is always nice. And they go, yo, I need a manager. And I'm like,
right.
Okay. Yo, you do music, bro. So like, okay, cool. But, you know, I think just to anyone listening in who's at the start of the musical journey, expecting a manager or somebody to find you and just mold you and turn you into a star is not really the way it goes. You need to have that.
I'd say I did about 8 years of my own work, running my own studio, like figuring it out. I didn't have applying to Mobo One Song, you know, like going to seminars before I met my manager.
So it's part of the journey, man. You need to know your direction and what you're doing, and like I said, take advice on the way, and then your journey takes twists and turns. It's not a straight road, but you get up there to where you want to be, man. Now I'm not an online stalker, I promise you, but I love
not hard with my Twitter.
you got me straight away. But I love seeing people's true feelings on things on social media, especially around like the industry and the game and just everything that's going on, man. Now on Twitter, as you mentioned, you are super active, which is dope, but I love some of the insight or opinions you've been putting out there recently. Now what I've noticed, and I think anyone notices, is every kind of couple of weeks on Twitter, somebody's recording contract is it's plastered over the internet, and it's like, I can't believe she signed this, I can't believe he did that. Oh,
it's only been happening for 8 years.
Exactly. That happened to him. Oh, and then he did it to the person he signed, and so on. So it's like Twitter. That's just part of the entertainment of Twitter, isn't it? Now, I want to ask you about Kanye.
Yeah.
And what he put up yesterday. What are your thoughts?
I kind of have mixed emotions, but I have mixed emotions about most things. I'm not a black and white person. I'm a grey area person. So I feel like I get why he feels it's unfair. I feel like it's unfair, so I wouldn't have signed the deal, though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I wouldn't have made that mistake, Kanye. Come on.
But I don't think it's a mistake, because I do also feel like it's difficult. I don't think this is a fair industry or a fair business, the way the recruitment deals are set up. I think that's a separate conversation. Is the model fair? I think no is the answer. There could be a lot more done to make it so that artists and the creators benefit just as much as the people we never get to meet, who make all the money. Do you know what I mean? It would be nice if that could balance out a bit more, especially even for songwriters, I feel like get left out of the conversation a lot in terms of fairness and being compensated for their time and talent.
Massively. And interestingly, there was a thing on Twitter that Funk Butcher, DJ and producer, put on about how, you must have come across it, about how underrepresented females are, and especially black females, when they've sung some incredible vocal over some groundbreaking, legendary house record, and nobody knows who they are, and some people haven't been paid for it.
Click, because they have just been so inclusive, so lovely, treated me like a sister.
That's sick.
And made sure I was well taken care of for everything that we've done together. So yeah.
Wicked. So anyone who is getting involved in the journey, maybe doesn't have a team around them, lawyers, managers, accountants, whatever. So people that start their journey who are suddenly told to sign a contract or looking at some paperwork or stuff like this, what's your kind of advice for them in terms of how to handle that?
My most generic advice is you're going to need a music lawyer, and don't be scared of that, because most of them will accept payment from the label, from the deal you're going to take. So don't feel like, I haven't got money, I can't talk to a lawyer. Do it. You need to find a music lawyer if labels or people of a certain caliber are asking you to enter any kind of recording contracts. Secondly, I think like I kind of tweeted yesterday, when you sign these like long recording deals, you're basically doing the impossible task of predicting how successful you're going to be in future, and how much money you might make or not make. So if someone, for example, in Kanye's case, offers you 10 million for, I don't know how many years, but a very long time, at the time that might just be like so amazing. But then if you end up being an artist that makes the label $900 million, you're going to feel like that 10 million advance for what you've got isn't actually fair down the line. So I think it's more important to have deals you can get out of than anything. And that's the way I look at things when I think it's like things might not always go well. We might not always get along. Think that anything could change. So I think it's more about how things go when that happens and how you leave, knowing that you are able to leave or stay if you want to. But I do think that these deals, that is the main thing that seems to be the issue, that people can't get out at any point.
That's sick. Of all the people I've spoken to over the years and all the artists I've interviewed, whenever the issue of deals has come up, no one has ever said the first thing you should look for is not how much they're going to pay you, and like the positive, but look at it the other way around and go, no, how quickly can you get out of this if you need to? Because the person who signed you might suddenly resign 2 weeks later.
Or get fired. Yeah, literally. Like, so you just need to know that if all these good stuff can't happen, which is very possible, I think, it's it's very easy to get distracted with all the good stuff and what you want out of a label or a publisher when you're making your contract or negotiating your deal. But I think it's just as important to know that if things don't go your way, if you change your mind, if they change your mind, if you get new staff, how does it work? How do we part ways? How does that look?
This is sick. This is literally turning into music career hacks with ALIKA and Jay Fresh. I'm loving this right now. These absolute gems being dropped on people. We're going to get into the EP right now. Now, I've got my favourite track off the EP. Have you got one?
I don't. It changes all the time, you know. I'll be honest, it actually changes all the time. What's yours?
My favourite one is Dollar Signs.
Lit.
I think it's dope. I think it's sick. But I don't want that to sway you in any way. But I'd love you to pick one track from the EP and we'll play it right now here at Pyro.
Okay, I'm going to pick Karma.